What's going on, guys? It's Matt here with TKW to kick off our prospect coverage. Wanted to start today off with Trae Young. Basically, what I want to do with these is take you guys through what Trae Young does well, what he doesn't do well. We're going to hit every part of his game, and at the end I want to bring it all together and talk about how he's going to fit with the Knicks should they choose to select him. Let's start right out with his defense, which is a part of his game that he's really going to have to improve on in the pros. So a big struggle on the defensive end for Young is his ball watching. He tends to stand around, watch the ball, lose defenders, especially when they go to the corner. You'll see here he's guarding Jalen Fisher, and boom, Fisher's in the corner, Young's ball watching, Fisher's able to knock down the wide open three. Young's slight frame also hurts him in a lot of situations. You'll see here Colin Sexton, who is another guy that the Knicks will be taking a look at, just completely overpowers him going to the hoop, and Young never had a chance. Young also struggles to maintain position while he's defending guys on the perimeter, simply because he ends up committing one way when he shouldn't. So for example here, he's in good position there, but all of a sudden the offensive player crosses him up once and he's in terrible position. And he's ended up recovering, his defense has to pick up for him, and they're just in terrible shape down low. Young also dies on a ton of screens in pick and roll, leaving his defenses in tough spots. So here Sexton's able to get a nice easy foul line jumper because Young doesn't even try to get over the pick. In pick and roll, in isolation, in every scenario, he's at a disadvantage. And I worry that a team may not be able to build a strong defense with a guy like him on the perimeter. Clear weak link, he doesn't do a lot well, and he's not going to be able to get much better simply because of his size. So let's switch gears and go to the offensive side and start with Young's passing, which I think is the best part of his game. Young's passing went under the radar for a while just because he was scoring so much, but it really can't be understated how much of an impact he has as a passer. From day one, he'll be a threat with the ball in his hands. His dishing, his ability to find shooters in the corner is just unprecedented at his age. He was the best passer in college basketball. He's able to whip passes that James Harden and Steph Curry throw in the NBA that just don't happen in college. Like this pass here, that's not something you see guys do in college. Can we actually run that back? It's really fitting that Oklahoma missed that shot because they did a lot of that this year off of amazing Trae Young passes. But there's truly something special about this kid's ability as a facilitator to find his shooters. It's an innate skill that you can't teach. When it comes to plugging Young into an NBA offense, he's going to be confident in these type of looks to find his big man at all times. So while he also struggled with turnovers, you'll take that, and it's something that he can learn from in the NBA and get better at because he adds so much value in this area. So now perhaps the most famous part of Young's game, his shooting. Young was bar none the most electric player in the NCAA, especially during the beginning of the year. Give him an inch of space and he'll take it a mile. Defenders struggled all year to stay with him. If they gave him any sort of room on the perimeter, he was not going to throw you right in their face. Off the dribble from 28 feet. Just absolutely amazing shots. There was really nothing more exciting all year than when Trae Young started to go off. Defenses are terrified of him when he has the ball because of his combination as an elite passer and an elite shot maker from deep. He ended up knocking down 36% of his triples, but that number was a lot higher for most of the year. My favorite move for Young, which he should utilize more often in the NBA, is the fake drive and the step back. It's just unstoppable for the defense. Young's going to have to corral his shot selection once he gets to the NBA because some of these shots just won't fly. It'll also be impossible for him to be efficient when he's taking these type of looks with NBA defenses. It's just not going to happen for him. The onus is going to be on a coaching staff to get him plenty of looks from three, but make them better looks that he can really maximize his skill and turn into the type of efficient player that we saw during the first half of the season. Young's scoring around the rim is one of the more confounding parts of his game. He has this really nice floater that he likes to use, which you can see him use on Sexton right here once he gets in the lane. That's really sweet and he uses it quite a bit. He certainly has the ability to be able to be a finisher. It didn't quite show up in the stats. He was below the 50th percentile in efficiency around the rim, but I'm not counting him out. We've seen smaller guards like Kyrie Irving and Isaiah Thomas be awesome finishers around the rim despite their small size. It's having that knowledge of how to finish, where to finish, what angle to take. Young has the smarts for it. He just got to be able to learn to utilize his body in the best way possible. Ultimately, I'm pretty confident Young's going to be able to figure it out and become a pretty decent finisher once he gets to the NBA. So let's talk Knicks. When I really first started doing these breakdowns in January, I wasn't crazy about Young, but I'm starting to warm up to the possibility of him coming to New York for a few reasons. Number one is his shooting. It's something the Knicks are in desperate need of. Beyond Tim Hardaway Jr., they don't really have a guy they can rely on from three. I like Courtney Lee. He doesn't shoot enough threes. Same with Porzingis when he's healthy. they would really benefit from having another guy that can be a threat from deep. I also believe that Young has this huge untapped potential as a catch-and-shoot guy from beyond the arc. He only did that on about 20% of his threes in college. There could be so much more that he can gain from getting catch-and-shoot looks from players in the NBA. The other huge benefit that Trae Young could bring to the Knicks should they select him is his passing. Finding those corner shooters is just so important, and the Knicks have some guys that can knock down threes. You never know. If you get a guy like Young in there, all of a sudden a Lance Thomas, a Damian Dotson, who I know we all like, could end up becoming more of a threat. I really don't think Young has a ton of bust potential. From his shooting to his passing, there's so much there to have a base for in the NBA. And of course, we never know. These guys could bust out. But Young can be useful in just so many different scenarios in the modern NBA. What I want to harp on here is the defensive side of the basketball, because that's what the Knicks have said they're going to commit to, which makes Young seem like not a perfect fit. But if they do select Young, can Frank Ntilikina make up for all of Young's deficiencies? I'm wary of it. We mentioned it before. I worry when there's a guy that's such a weak link in a defensive unit. Can we still build a strong defense with a guy that's going to need so much help? You're going to have to hide him on a lot of different guys. Teams are going to attack him in the pick and roll. What are you going to do to go against that? I love the idea in theory of having Frank Ntilikina always take the tougher backcourt mate, but it doesn't always work in practice. We saw it with the Celtics with Isaiah Thomas. They were a good defensive team, but they had to work around him a lot, and they had a great coach in Brad Stevens. We have faith in Fizdale that he can get there, but he's going to really have to commit to a strong defensive scheme that builds around the perimeter in a certain way should Trae Young become a Knick. Listen, don't get me wrong. I think the Knicks would be really hard-pressed to pass on Young should he be there at 9. It's just important to remember that if you're drafting Young, you're building your offense and your defense around a guy with a specific skill set. That's a lot to ask of a coach and a front office. There was a point where I was going to be pretty upset if Young was drafted to the Knicks. I don't feel the same way anymore. If they draft him, I can certainly talk myself into it because of all those positives that he has. But I do think there's some downside. He started to struggle at Oklahoma when the pressure hit him, and being in New York would be a lot more than that. Having that media on you at all times, asking questions, having the pressure of playing in the Garden, it's a lot. There's no denying it. I usually don't buy into that type of stuff because I think it's overblown, but we have to have it on our radar. All right, guys, that's all I got for you. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. If you have any comments, leave them down below. You can find me on Twitter at Matt Spendley. Drop me a follow. We can keep talking about this. Follow at the Knicks Wall. A lot of us have a ton of great draft coverage coming out. Also, if you want to buy this dope shirt, I'll throw a link in the description. Until next time, signing out.